Biomed, Nexus Daily Updates, your essential biotech, medtech, and pharma recap. No noise, just what matters. Executive takeaway manufacturing and regulatory milestones anchor today's action. Vericell's FDA approval for its new cell therapy facility positions MACI for international expansion, while Glenmark secures 180-day exclusivity on the first generic Flovent. Meanwhile, Prime Medicine's bid to file for accelerated approval based on just 2 patients could redefine the small n regulatory playbook for ultra-rare diseases. Read full analysis, what to watch, the 2-patient. Precedent, Prime Medicine confirmed yesterday it is seeking accelerated approval for PM35P9, chronic granulomatous disease, based on a data set of just 2 patients. If the FDA aligns, it will establish the most radical small n approval path in history for gene-edited therapies. Glenmark's generic Flovent exclusivity, following yesterday's FDA approval for generic Flovent HFA 44 mcg, Glenmark's 180-day competitive generic therapy exclusivity period begins this month. Watch for rapid pricing pressure in the 520 mm respiratory niche. Day 1 M&A speculation, renewed Betaville rumors of a buyout for Day 1. Biopharmaceuticals, Dawn, saw shares surge Wednesday. The firm's genetically defined cancer focus and 225 to 250 million 2026 revenue guidance make it a prime bolt-on target for big pharma facing 2027 patent cliffs. Today's top stories. Vericell. FDA approves new cell therapy manufacturing facility. What happened? Vericell received FDA approval for commercial MACI manufacturing at its new state-of-the-art cell therapy facility in Burlington, Massachusetts. Why it matters. The approval enables commercial production to begin in Q2 2026, substantially increasing capacity to meet growing demand for its cartilage repair product. The expanded facility also positions Vericell to potentially commercialize MACI outside the United States, with a UK launch targeted for 2027. Executive impact, manufacturing scale-up has been a persistent bottleneck for autologous cell therapies. This approval validates Vericell's operational execution and removes a key constraint on revenue growth. Glenmark, first generic Flovent with 180-day exclusivity. What happened? The FDA granted final approval to Glenmark Specialty SA for fluticasone propionate inhalation aerosol 44 mcg, the first generic version of GSK's Flovent HFA. Glenmark was designated the first approved applicant, triggering 180-day competitive generic therapy CGT exclusivity. Market context. The Flovent HFA 44 mcg market achieved approximately $520 million in U.S. sales over the 12 months ending January 2026. Distribution begins this month. Signal, CGT exclusivity remains one of the most valuable regulatory assets in generics, offering a 6-month window to establish market share before competitors enter. Oncology and rare disease. Prime Medicine, PM35T9 filing strategy. Regulatory milestone. Prime Medicine confirmed yesterday it believes clinical data from just 2 patients may be sufficient to support an accelerated approval filing for PM35P9 in chronic granulomatous disease. The company is working toward final FDA alignment before submitting a BLA. Context. PM35P9 is the first ever prime editing therapy to enter clinical development. Data published in the NEJM DEC 2025 showed both patients achieved rapid neutrophil engraftment with DHR-positive levels of 69% and 83%, far exceeding the 20% threshold for clinical benefit. Signal. With only 50 eligible U.S. patients, PM35T9 tests the FDA's willingness to approve transformative therapies on minimal data when the mechanism is well understood and alternatives are limited. Perimeter Medical Imaging AI, Claire PMA. What happened? Perimeter, Medical received FDA pre-market approval yesterday for Claire, the first AI-enabled imaging device approved in the US for intraoperative breast cancer margin assessment. Clinical data: the pivotal trial demonstrated 88.1% margin accuracy and a statistically significant reduction in patients with residual cancer post-surgery compared to standard of care alone. Claire provides 10x higher resolution than standard X-ray and ultrasound at 2 mm imaging depth. Executive impact: the approval validates AI as a Class 3 surgical decision support tool and sets a new standard for real-time intraoperative pathology. Clinical and research updates. Day 1, biopharmaceuticals, M&A speculation. Market activity: shares of Day 1 surged. Wednesday, amid Betaville speculation of a potential acquisition. The blog featured Day 1 as a prime buyout candidate. Context: Day 1 reported 2025 OGEMDA revenue of $155.4 million, 172% YOY growth, and projects $250 million for 2026. The January 2026 acquisition of Moderna Therapeutics also added clinical stage ADC Emile to the pipeline. Analyst sentiment: 8 of 9 analysts covering Dawn rate it buy or higher with an average price target of $22.75, representing potential upside of over 75%. Corporate developments: Moderna, Flovent, 2.25B patent settlement. What happened? Moderna agreed to pay Genevant Sciences, a Roivant subsidiary, and Arbutus Biopharma up to $2.25 billion to settle all litigation over lipid nanoparticle (LNP) technology used in its COVID-19 vaccine. Terms: Moderna will pay $950 million upfront in July 2026, with an additional $1.3 billion contingent on the outcome of an appeal regarding government contractor liability. The settlement grants Moderna a global non-exclusive license to LNP delivery technology for infectious diseases. Signal: if fully paid, this will be among the largest patent settlements in pharmaceutical history. The deal removes a major legal overhang and allows investor focus to shift entirely to Moderna's oncology pipeline readouts in 2026. Teva seek Blackstone $400 million duvakitug funding. What happened? Blackstone Life Sciences committed $400 million over 4 years to support Teva's Phase 3 development of duvakitug, a TL1A inhibitor for inflammatory bowel disease. Terms: Blackstone will be eligible for regulatory and commercial milestones, plus low single-digit royalties on worldwide sales. Signal: asset-specific funding over general balance sheet debt continues to dominate as the 2026 playbook for de-risking late-stage programs while preserving equity upside. Tonix Pharmaceuticals, NASDAQ uplisting. What happened? Tonix transferred its listing from the NASDAQ Capital Market to the NASDAQ Global Select Market. The company will present at TD Cowen today. Context: Tonmya, the company's recently approved fibromyalgia treatment, is the first new therapy for the indication in more than 15 years. Policy and Public Health FDA GLP-1 enforcement. Wave. What happened? The FDA issued 30 warning letters yesterday to telehealth companies for making false or misleading claims regarding compounded GLP-1 products, including semaglutide and tirzepatide. Context: this marks the second major enforcement wave since the agency's SEPT 2025 crackdown on DTC pharmaceutical advertising. The volume of warning letters over the past 6 months has exceeded the cumulative total of the previous decade. Quote, Commissioner Macquarie stated, "It's a new era. We are paying close attention to misleading claims being made by telehealth and pharma companies across all media platforms and taking swift action." Read full analysis. Biomed, Nexus Pro. Institutional Intelligence Briefing. Today's Pro Brief: Cell Therapy Manufacturing Inflection. Why Vericel's approval signals a shift toward owned manufacturing over CMO dependency. The small n regulatory bet, what Prime Medicine's two-patient filing means for gene editing valuations. Moderna risk framing, modeling the 2.25B settlement against cash runway and the BioNTech countersuit. Day 1, target analysis, valuation scenarios, and acquirer logic for Dawn. Upgrade to Pro. Today read, full article, selective 2026. Sponsorship placements are available. Reply directly to discuss a partnership or submit an inquiry here.